This league, man, this is an awesome league. This league is an awesome league. It rains. Oh. That was inappropriate. Okay, listen, I was really gearing up for the trade deadline, right? I was under the impression that, okay, OG Anunoby's probably going to be the biggest guy to get moved, right? Not that big of a name, but a pretty sizable name. That's something kind of interesting. And that was cool with me. I was really, starting to come to grips with it, and that was fine. And then Kyrie Irving requests a trade today, and things got rolling, and things just got out of control very, very quickly. And so I'm going to talk about it. This isn't going to be like a super planned out scripted video. It's just going to be rambling off the top of my head some of the things that I'm thinking about and how these rumors and the possibility of Kyrie Irving getting traded, how I think it affects the Nets and the three major teams that have been linked to Kyrie Irving so far. That is the Dallas Mavericks, the Phoenix Suns, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I am surprised by this, right? Like, obviously, you had all of that shit in the offseason. Kyrie wanted out in the offseason. Kevin Durant wanted out in the offseason, right? And it all kind of felt at a certain point, like at the start of July, like those two guys were not going to be members of the Nets for the foreseeable future. And then they just quietly ran it back, right? They fired Steve Nash, they fired their GM, and it just kind of seemed like things were okay. Kyrie got suspended early in the season, but that felt like that was 20 years ago. They started rolling, they started winning, they looked like a legitimate contender. Kyrie's been awesome. He got voted as an all-star starter, and it just kind of felt like the Nets were just here, like this is who they were, and they'll figure this shit out in the offseason. And then Kyrie Irving requests a trade. So let's talk about what this means, and let's talk about the players involved, the teams that might make a move here. Phoenix, it does kind of make some sense to me, right? It's been rumored that they are looking to make a significant upgrade at the deadline. In my trade deadline prediction video, which I still recommend you guys go and watch, even though it might already be outdated. I still recommend you guys go watch and check that out if you haven't already. I predicted the Suns to get John Collins and Jordan Clarkson. Like, I expected them to be busy, and I thought that'd be a really good a trade deadline for them. But now it's reported that they are in on Kyrie Irving, and that's a trade that they might look to make, especially with the new owner coming in, look to make a splash immediately. I still think, this will be the last time I talk about the Suns, because I'm going to be real, I don't give a fuck about them, okay? I still think for Phoenix, if I had to guess, it makes a little bit more sense for them to wait it out until the offseason and see if they can re-enter the Kevin Durant sweepstakes again. Because what does this mean for Kevin Durant? Does this mean he's going to want out in the offseason as well? Like, are they going to go back to trade talks for him? Because if I'm Phoenix, right, I was in those trade talks last summer, I might as well just wait this out and see if I can go out and get Kevin Durant in the summer. Like, that would be the move that I'm thinking Phoenix could make, right? The Lakers, let me rant about the fucking Lakers really quickly. I hate them. And let me explain to you why. This is a team that has had zero good roster building instincts over the past decade plus. Okay, the final years of Kobe Bryant's tenure as a Laker, they just fucked it up. Those rosters were a complete and utter disaster. They were terrible, and Kobe just retired a member of terrible teams. They did a terrible job building. They did a terrible job getting the most out of their young talent they had, but it didn't matter because LeBron James and Anthony Davis were both like, hey, let's go to LA. Like, it'd be cool to go live in LA and play with the Lakers. Okay, cool. They went out, they won a championship, and then ever since then, they have been horrendous at building a roster. They went out and traded for Russell Westbrook. LeBron is just kind of floundering on this terrible Lakers team, right? That's like 5 games under 500 and just trying to get into the play-in tournament every year. But it doesn't matter because they might go out and get Kyrie Irving. Like, no other team in American professional sports can have roster building this shitty, and it means nothing. Like, they face zero consequences for it because they're the Lakers, and people want to go play in LA. People want to go live in LA. They want to wear the purple and gold. So if I'm the Lakers from here on out, I'm trading every draft pick I've ever owned. It does not matter. I'm overpaying guys. It literally does not matter to me because even if I fail at this current roster iteration, just give it a year or two, and somebody's going to want out and come to LA. Like, that's all it takes. I don't have to do anything. I could just make trades. I could just make moves that don't make any fucking sense, and it won't matter. Hopefully I luck into a ring, but if I don't, give it 2 years and another superstar will want to come here. They have no repercussions for their terrible roster building. All right, Lakers rant aside. Let's talk about the Mavericks because there's a lot of reports about them. Pretty much every notable report I said, yo, watch the Mavericks. This makes sense. Nico Harrison and Kyrie have a relationship. I just read a report like literally 3 minutes before I started recording this that Kyrie is a big fan of Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd. I just read a report, too, that the Nets, they like Dorian Finney-Smith. They like Spencer Dinwiddie. There is a trade here that I think makes the most sense out of any possible Kyrie Irving trade. I'll get to that in a second. But let me say this, okay? Because there are a lot of Mavs fans who don't want this to happen. There are a lot of Mavs fans I'm seeing who are saying, no, I don't want Kyrie Irving. They are turning their nose up to any proposed trade. What do you, like, why? If this is an off-the-court issue thing, for you, that I understand. Okay, if you're just like, yo, I can't support Kyrie Irving and his views, and I don't want that on my basketball team, that's okay, I can somewhat understand that. For me personally, I feel like I should mention this is a Dallas Mavericks team that is not a stranger to controversy and doing really shitty and shady things. So I feel like drawing that line in the sand for a player, to me, like what is that going to do besides some moral high grounding? Like, honest to God. At the end of the day, to me, this looks like the best opportunity Cuban and the Mavs front office has had to put legitimate star talent next to Luka Doncic in his entire tenure here. Like, the sky has opened up for them. It has literally, the basketball gods have said, Mark Cuban, I forgive you for your horrendous team building attributes. I am now giving you the opportunity to go and get a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA. A legitimate distressed asset you don't have to give up that much for. And Mavs fans, like, we spend every waking hour of our lives like, oh my God, fuck you, Mark Cuban. This roster is pathetic. You suck at team building. Luka's out there by himself. Send help. And in the moment, like, legitimate actual trades get proposed, everyone's like, oh, whoa, hold on a second. I'm getting a little bit scared here. I'm getting a little bit scared. I saw people say, well, what about, the last time the Mavericks traded for a questionable point guard? Like, we remember what happened, referring to the Rondo trade. The Mavericks gave up Jay Crowder, Braden Wright, and Jameer Nelson. Like, if that is the equivalent of the trade package it costs to get Kyrie Irving, sign me the fuck up. Like, I'll risk it again. Like, that's nothing. I will risk that happily. Trade that I proposed and tweeted out that I was actually shocked that a lot of Mavs fans are saying no about, which makes the most sense to me, is Spencer Dinwiddie and Christian Wood straight up for Kyrie Irving. Maybe a pick has to be thrown in there. I'm not entirely sure. But this makes a lot of sense to me because, one, it guarantees Brooklyn can still compete this year. Like, if they are confident Kevin Durant is still going to be a member of their team for the foreseeable future, it makes no sense to tank. It makes no sense to get future trade picks and Russell Westbrook from the Lakers. Like, that trade just does not make sense to me if they plan on still being competitive. With this deal, you get front court depth, which you have needed. If you watch my trade deadline prediction video, I already predicted that the Brooklyn Nets trade for Christian Wood. And it also gives you another ball handler that's been on the Brooklyn Nets before and was really good with the Brooklyn Nets, and he could sort of take Kyrie's place. Obviously, Spencer Dinwiddie is a downgrade from Kyrie Irving, but you are also adding Christian Wood into the mix. So it allows you to stay competitive if you're Brooklyn, and if you're Dallas, boom, you're getting your second star. Like, you are getting your second star. You're getting, by far, the best player Luka Doncic has ever played with, and I would imagine the Mavericks only do this if they're like 100% convinced they can get Kyrie to sign an extension. If you do that, boom, you have Luka and Kyrie. I had somebody reply to that tweet and say, oh, well, you upgraded at ball handler marginally. No, you did not do that marginally. It's a huge upgrade. But you also lost your front court depth. This really wouldn't be a this season only move. This would be, again, I can't imagine the Mavericks do anything of note without a guarantee that Kyrie Irving is signing an extension, which they can do, by the way. Like, they could trade for Kyrie and he could sign the extension immediately. The Mavericks, I'm assuming, wouldn't make a trade if that wasn't the case. This gives you Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving heading into the offseason. And in this proposed trade, it gives you the chance to still play around with your draft picks and bring on another player to add to your Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic nucleus. I cannot believe Mavericks fans are saying no to this. You would be shocked how many people under this tweet said, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. What the fuck is going on? Okay, we have to, like, Spencer Dinwiddie has been great. He's been really good as a member of the Mavericks, but obviously this would be a huge upgrade from Spencer Dinwiddie. It just would. Like, we're talking about a top 80, top 70 player in Spencer Dinwiddie versus a legit top 15, top 20 guy in Kyrie Irving. We're talking about a top 80, top 70 player in Christian Wood, who, by the way, we don't even know if the Mavericks want to keep him. By the way, we don't even know what Christian Wood's going to look like in a postseason setting. I have been pretty vocal about this. I like Christian Wood. I think Christian Wood's been good with the Mavericks. I obviously didn't want that trade to happen when it happened, but, you know, I ate some crow. I think he's looked really good as a member of the Mavericks. But historically, guys like Christian Wood do not do well in the playoffs. Like, they just don't. Guys who defensively can't switch that well, guys who in pick and roll defenses can get picked on a little bit, those guys have a hard time in playoff settings more often than not. So we don't even know how we'll look in the playoffs. To me, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is such an easy yes. If this is all it would take, I'm in. Now, let's say the Nets say, no, we don't want Christian Wood. We'll do Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, to me, that one definitely gets a little bit more difficult. I'm still saying yes, to be honest with you. I love Dorian Finney-Smith. I wouldn't really want to trade him unless the stars align. And to me, this is the stars aligning. Like, you have to understand this. If you say, oh, well, Kyrie, he's a flight risk. He's been a locker room cancer everywhere that he's gone. Everywhere that he's gone, it's turned to shit. Listen, the Mavericks aren't in a real position here to be picky. Like, beggars can't be choosers in this scenario. Okay? They're not in a great position to get this second star in the offseason that everybody dreams about. You want to know why? Because you have teams like the Pelicans, teams like the Grizzlies, teams like the Thunder, teams like the Knicks, teams like the Magic, like all of these teams that are going to become buyers, teams like the Trailblazers, all of these teams can and will outbid you when somebody enters the market. When a star asks out, guess what? You are 9th, 10th, 11th in line for that guy when it comes to your trade assets. You are either going to have to overpay dramatically, like the Rudy Gobert trade or the DeJounte Murray trade, and live with the consequences and pray to God it works. Or you're going to have to hope that another majorly distressed asset hits the market like Kyrie Irving. To me, this is a no-brainer. The Mavericks should do this. It would give you everything that you've wanted alongside Luka Doncic, a guy who could score on his own, a guy who has already been the number 2 on championship-winning teams, a guy who's played alongside very similar players to Luka and LeBron. I'm not saying Luka's like LeBron, but you get what I'm saying in the terms of just play style a little bit. LeBron and James Harden, and he has done well next to both of those guys. A guy who Luka sits or has a bad night, put the ball in his hands, and he's more than capable of bringing you to a win. A guy who could catch and shoot. A guy who's really not too shabby defensively when he locks in. Okay, this to me is such a no-brainer. And I'm a little bit shocked by Mavericks fans' response to this. I have to be honest with you, especially from my point of view. Anytime I stream Mavs games or tweet about the Mavs, every fucking reply I get is how shitty the team is, how horrible the roster is, how Luka's leaving in 3 years no matter what because they can't bring help. And then this perfect opportunity pops up for the Mavericks to pay way less than market value for an incredibly talented player. And everyone's like, no, fuck that. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Trading Christian Wood? Think about our rebounding. I kept seeing that. Think about our rebounding without Christian Wood. What, our already shitty rebounding? Look at every single on-off metric Christian Wood does not impact whatsoever. Like, what are we even talking about here? I just wanted to do a rambling video because I already knew, like, anytime I stream and stuff, people are going to ask my opinion on the Kyrie Irving stuff, and I just want to have something to point to. I am 100% team trade for Kyrie Irving. Get it done. I don't know if you'll have an opportunity better than this over the next couple years to get a player of this caliber in your building. And again, this is a long-term thing for me. Obviously, if you can't get a guarantee from Kyrie that he's staying, that changes everything, right? I'm not even comfortable doing a trade at that point, right? But if you can get a guarantee from Kyrie that he's cool signing an extension with you and he's ready to do it before the offseason even starts, I'm making it happen. And I'm going into the offseason with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And then I can continue to build my team out from there with whatever other pieces I have left on my roster. Because that is a championship duo right there. That is a duo that you do not want to see come April, come June. Again, like Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie, straight up, that trade makes a lot of sense to me. It just does. I don't know if the Nets are in much of a position to be asking for picks, like a boatload of picks. I don't know if they are. Any GM should be saying, no, man, listen, we don't know if he's even going to stay here. This could be a couple-month rental. Like, I'm not giving up picks for this. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm not getting my hopes up. You know, I'm not going to be like throwing a tantrum if the Mavericks don't trade for Kyrie Irving because I understand there are risks there and everything, right? If they get outbid, they get outbid. If it comes out that Kyrie didn't want to sign an extension anywhere, completely understand that. But they need to at least be kicking the tires. It sounds like they are majorly. Like, it sounds like they're going to be players in this, which is a good thing. I'm happy to hear that. I am shocked to hear so many Mavericks fans say that they don't want to do this or that Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie is too much. Guys, come on. You got to get serious at some point. We can't sit here and talk about how terrible this front office is and how little help Luka has, but yet we're turning away offers that significantly improve the team because, like, we're going to miss Christian Wood's rebounding. Like, come on, guys. Let's use our head a little bit here, okay? Cuban, this will not lead to me forgiving you for your basketball sins as a basketball decision maker, a personnel decision maker, but baby steps, okay? We can get there. We can get there.